AC was a young woman, beautiful and full of life. She was married to Kwame, a man who wasn't rich, but he worked hard and loved her with all his heart. Kwame was a construction worker in the city, so he could only come home to the village on weekends. Whenever he came home, his smile was wide, his hands full of gifts. Gifts like fabric, jewelry, food, and even small perfumes. Sometimes the gifts were simple, but AC could see the intentionality. She could tell that he spent almost half of his weekly pay just to make her happy. In the beginning, AC was so proud of her husband. She didn't care that he wasn't rich. She could sit outside, holding his hand, feeling like the luckiest woman in the world. But all that changed when AC joined a girls' group in the village. A group of her old classmates and friends. These women were married too, but their husbands were much richer. Their men drove Range Rovers, the biggest and latest SUVs, bought them designer bags, and took them to fancy places in the city. Anytime the girls met, they would talk about expensive perfumes, trips to Dubai, and the luxury life. When they asked AC, "What did your husband buy you?" she would smile weakly and say, "He bought me some nice fabric." The other girls would laugh softly, trying to hide it, but AC could feel the shame burning in her chest. At first, AC tried to ignore them, but after every meeting, doubt crept in. Maybe Kwame wasn't enough. Maybe love alone couldn't make her happy. Maybe life was about big money and not small love. The girls gave her advice, a dangerous advice. They told her about sugar daddies, rich men who would give her everything her husband couldn't. At first, AC refused, but the more she listened, the more she got curious. One night, when Kwame was away working in the city, one of the girls set her up with a man who drove a shiny black car. He bought her expensive perfume, gave her some huge cash, and promised more if she would spend time with him. Essie knew deep down it was wrong, but greed covered her eyes. From that night, Essie lived a double life. During the week, she would jump from one man to the other, sleeping in their houses, partying in the city, and collecting gifts like trophies. But when Kwame came home on the weekends, she would pretend to be the perfect wife, cooking his favorite meals, smiling sweetly, and acting like nothing was wrong. Kwame noted small changes. Essie's perfume was more expensive than anything he could buy. Her nails were always freshly done. She had bags he knew his money could never buy. His friends and neighbors called him, "Kwame, I saw your wife getting into a Range Rover last night." But Kwame always said, "That's not my AC. My AC loves me dearly. My wife would never do that." His love for her was so strong that he refused to believe anything bad. One afternoon, Essie's phone lit up with a message that would change everything. It was from a man her friends called Chairman General, a sugar daddy so powerful. His name alone made nightclub owners clear out VIP sections before he even arrived. He didn't just have money, he had money with power, with connections and secrets. His fingers dripped with gold rings. His wrists carried watches worth more than houses. His cologne was so rich. I mean, you could smell him before you saw him. He didn't take her to normal expensive places, no. Chairman General's lifestyle was luxury on steroids. The first night they met, he flew AC and her entire girls group to a private villa in Ebri, where personal chefs cooked meals on plates lined with gold pen. Each girl left that weekend with a Louis Vuitton suitcase stuffed with cash, custom wigs, and brand new iPhones. Essie felt like a queen. Finally, she's living the life she always dreamed of. A life no village husband could ever give her. And then the Dubai trip came up. Not just Dubai, first class Dubai. I mean the kind where flight attendants already knew your name and poured champagne before you even asked. They didn't just go shopping, no. They had personal shoppers waiting at each store, carrying their bags and offering limited edition pieces only. From Dubai, they flew to the Maldives just because they felt like it. Essie stood in the middle of an Indian Ocean in a floating villa, taking pictures in designer bikinis, pictures meant to silently crush anyone who ever doubted her glow up. That night, under the stars, wrapped in silk robes, sipping imported wine, Essie made her choice. She wouldn't go back to Kwame's sweaty hands and plastic bags filled with market gifts. She was done with the village love. She didn't write her notes. She didn't wait for Kwame to come home. She just packed her designer bags, took her passport, blocked his number, and disappeared into the clouds. Literally. By the time Kwame returned that weekend, she was already in a penthouse in Accra, sipping champagne in a bathtub bigger than her kitchen back home. Kwame was confused. He was shattered. He was lost. He called her phone over 50 times, but no answer. He walked from one family house to the next, asking if anyone had seen his wife, Essie. He went to pastors, to elders to plead, to his friends to beg, but everyone avoided his eyes. They knew what Essie was doing, but none of them wanted to be the one to say it. Your wife has upgraded her life. When someone finally whispered the truth, that Essie was living with a powerful man in the city, Kwame refused to believe it. No, not my Essie. My Essie is not like that. But the evidence poured in like rain. Videos of her at clubs, sitting on Chairman General's lap, wearing dresses he could never afford. Pictures of her in Dubai, popping champagne. I mean, she was just living the life. Kwame sat outside their house, the same house where they once dreamed together, and cried until the ground beneath him was wet with his tears. Even then, he begged God to bring her back, but Essie had tasted a soft life and contentment was now a foreign language. When Essie left her husband Kwame's house, she didn't just leave a man. She left the quiet life of roasted yams and Sunday church clothes behind. The man she ran to, Mr. Big Man, or Mr. Chairman General, as his friends called him, lived in a mansion so massive it could swallow the entire village Essie was coming from. The house sat on the highest hill in the richest part of the city, with golden gates, taller than palm trees, and cats dressed like they worked at the presidential palace. The first night she arrived, a butler greeted her at the gate. I mean, yes, a butler in Ghana. She couldn't believe it. There was a swimming pool shaped like a diamond, a garage filled with cars so shiny you could check your makeup in them, and the floor of the living room was made of marble, so cold it beat her at her feet. AC and her friends took endless photos and videos, posing by the pool, on the staircase, in the luxury kitchen. By morning, her Snapchat was on fire. Her WhatsApp status full of big girl's life, captions, and her Instagram had so many likes that even people who once ignored her were calling her, "Sis, you have arrived. You are living the soft life." Life became a party, but not just any party. Every Friday night, there was a private chef flown in from South Africa. There was always too much food. Food AC couldn't even pronounce. Sushi, caviar, wagyu beef, just mention. She didn't even like half of it, but eating it made her feel important. Her wardrobe exploded with designer bags, custom wigs, and perfumes that cost more than Kwame's whole salary. When her friends came over, they didn't even bother to sit in the living room. They headed straight for her walk-in closet, where the bags and shoes sat in glass cases, each with its own lights like a museum exhibit. Whenever they went out to clubs, they didn't stand in line like regular people. They entered through a private entrance, where bouncers whispered her sugar daddy's name and let them pass like queens. Bottles of champagne arrived at their table with sparklers, and the DJ shouted her name over the speakers. "Big Mama AC in the building." The one and only Big Mama. She wasn't just leaving, she was floating. Then came her birthday, and the party that shook Accra to its core. It wasn't just a party, it was a festival, a whole production. A team of event planners worked for 3 weeks, transforming the mansion into a fairy tale palace. Giant screens displayed pictures of AC in designer gowns, dancers, drummers, fire eaters. It was like a movie set. Her cake was 6 feet tall, shaped like a designer bag, covered in a real gold leaf. She wore a dress flown in from Paris, custom made to hug her curves, like the designer knew her body personally. Celebrities showed up, uninvited, just to be seen at AC's party. Bloggers went live. Headlines the next day called it the party of the year. Who is AC and how did she get here? For once, AC wasn't ashamed to answer. She was proud. She was proud she had made it. But for all the luxury, there was something cold about the mansion. Even though it had 12 bedrooms, AC and Mr. Big Man never shared one. When they wanted to be intimate, he would either book a luxury hotel suite or they would go down to the basement, a cold windowless room with walls so thick no sound could escape. At first, AC thought maybe rich men just like privacy. Maybe this was part of the billionaire lifestyle. She didn't understand. Who was she to question it? After all, as long as the money was flowing, who cared? She told her friends about it once, laughing about how she had never seen Mr. Big Man sleep. He always disappeared at night, only returning before sunrise. Usually, his bags of gifts waiting for her in the morning. Her friends called her blessed, but deep down, AC felt something. A tiny voice inside her heart, the voice she had listened long ago whispering, "This is not normal." But she didn't listen. Why would she even care? Life was sweet. Until the nightmare started. It began after her birthday party. That night, after everyone left, AC lay in her luxury bed, so drunk on champagne and attention. Just as she drifted off, She had a dream so real, it made her skin crawl. A giant snake slithed onto her bed, wrapping itself around her waist, whispering her name over and over and over. AC, AC, AC. Its tongue flicked out and brushed her hair, sending chills down her spine. When she woke up, she was drenched in sweat. She reached for Mr. Big Man, but the bed was empty as always. In the morning, her fear disappeared, buried under piles of designer gifts at her door. Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Dior, enough to drown her doubts in silver and gold. The nightmare came back, worse each time. In one, the snake eventually kissed her, and gold dripped from its mouth into hers. She woke up choking. Again, her partner was gone. But waiting for her was all an expense paid trip to Singapore for her and her girls. She ignored the fear. One day, while cleaning the mansion for an upcoming party, AC decided to clean his bedroom. After all, she wanted to surprise him with a spotless house. What she saw inside made her faint. There, lying on the floor, was her rich partner, his body covered in blood, and beside him was the giant snake from her dreams, vomiting piles of dollars, jewelry, designer bags, name it, all the luxury you could think of. This giant snake was vomiting it out. She screamed and tried to run, but at the door stood a huge figure. This figure slapped her and pushed her back into the room. AC was scared. She was so nervous. After everything, Mr. Big Man tied AC up in the room and told her not to mention what she had seen to anybody. And from that day, AC was locked up in the room, never to escape. One evening, Mr. Big Man traveled for a business trip, and AC called her own husband, Kwame, the man she had run away from, to come to her rescue. Kwame, still the loving husband, still loving his wife, rushed to the scene, came to the house, and AC broke the door, jumped the wall to grant Kwame to escape. When Kwame saw her, the first statement he made was, "Do you see now?" Kwame's voice shook. "This is what she left me for." AC sobbed. "I didn't know. I just wanted a better life." Kwame shook his head. "You had everything you needed. Love, respect, peace, mention it. I just did not have money. But you wanted what your friends had, forgetting that not all wealth comes from clean hands." While AC was about to leave with Kwame, Mr. Big Man arrived and pushed AC back into the house. This time he left her for the snake. The snake screamed out to her husband, its voice like broken glass. "She belongs to me now. Greed always pays its price." AC saw the truth. She had married a demon, not a man. The money, the gifts, the trips, it all came from a cursed spirit. And now her soul was part of the deal. The snake gave her a choice: stay stay with the riches and lose her soul forever, or walk away with Kwame back to a simple life. Trembling, Essie chose Kwame, and Mr. Big Man vanished, including the snake. The designer bags and money, everything just blew away like dust. When she opened her eyes, she was back in their small village house where roasted yam and love once filled the air. This time, she knew this was enough. Thanks for watching, viewers.